Alright, Alpha fam, let's do a quick market update. Before we begin, I do want to say that nothing in this video is financial advice. Everything is for educational purposes only. This is just my own analysis on the market. Also, if you're new to this channel, if you can please like, comment, and subscribe, we really do appreciate all of the support. Now let's get into this, guys. So we've been talking about this all week. Alright, we made this low at 80, and we're in our relief rally. So what everybody's trying to figure out now is, are we in a relief rally? Or are we going to actually make new all-time highs? Obviously, I'm taking things extremely slow, one day at a time. But what I do want to see, and we can start seeing that we've done this on other time frames. So this is the 1 hour. You see we've reclaimed the 50, and it looks like we're starting to get a push up. I expect today to be pretty decent because we did actually have not bad PPI month-over-month data came out. It actually came out exactly what it was supposed to, which is no surprise, which is a good thing. With that also being said, guys, we're waiting for the US market to open. We've had a pretty substantial move on most alts, but these things were like, for example, Athena's getting a real good move right now. It was at its Pico floor, guys. Look where Athena, when it was at this level, look what happened last time. All right. So this is something that you guys have to kind of keep in the back of your mind, that these tokens are at their floors and they have a large amount of shorts and liquidity above them, and I think these things are going to start short squeezing up to these levels. I think a lot of people are going to get caught. I guess best way to call it would be, a lot of people are going to be on the sidelines for this, guys. I think it's going to be a hated rally because there's so many people that flip bearish, so many people that put shorts, and this is the thing about when you flip bearish, guys. When you sell your bags and you flip bearish, you don't want the market to go up. You want it to go down because it's going to feed your ego that you sold at the perfect time, and they don't want to see the market go up because then they're going to have FOMO and they're going to want to re-enter. So what do? They will try to tear the market down. They will make up fake stories. They will push narratives. They will do whatever they have to do to try to trick people into going bearish. And rightfully so. I mean, there was a real argument with the 2-week breakdown of the 50, but again, this is also a different cycle, and it's really hard to compare the 2013, 2017, 2021 cycle to right now. All right. It makes a lot of sense for the Bitcoin halving back in 2013 when it was first halving. Back then, the block rewards were significant. Every 4 years, the block rewards get cut in half, which means only half of the supply of Bitcoin's being released to the miners. That means about 6 to 9 months after the Bitcoin halving, a supply shock occurs. Bitcoin's price appreciates, brings attention, and then that money will rotate down into altcoins. All right, makes a lot of sense, right? Well, it makes a lot of sense when you're talking about a 2013 where Bitcoin was such a low market cap and so new, and then even 17 with a way lower market cap. But by 2021, once we went through that halving, the last halving went from like 7-something Bitcoin per block to like 3-something Bitcoin per block. So I know people are like, well, that's 400-something Bitcoin a day. That's a lot. It's like $38 million right now at current price levels. Guys, the current market's absorbing about $75 billion a day on average. It's a drop in the bucket. I even think it's hilarious when you see that BlackRock just deposited $500 million in Bitcoin into Coinbase. The market absorbs $75 billion a day. It's a drop in the bucket. All right. Now, with that being said, I think we've seen all of the sell pressure subside over the last few days, but we've had this yesterday, which is something else to help push us up. I'm telling you guys that you can't underestimate Trump and what he's actually trying to accomplish and what he's actually doing here. Trump understands that midterms are next year. He does not want markets at all-time highs 6 to 9 months before midterms because they're going to be going into a bear market during there. In order for him to accomplish his goal, he wants the markets to be at all-time highs during midterms, going into it. So what is he doing to set himself up for this? Well, we've got things like another China agreement. We've got quantitative tightening stopping on December 1st. And then guess what? In May, we're getting Jerome Powell replaced. What happens shortly after that? Stimulus checks. So if you look at this chart, guys, right here, this is the Fed's balance sheet. All right. And let me show you guys this real quick because it's going to give you guys a big indication of what is actually going on here. This thing we've only done quantitative easing 2 times in history. The first time was back in 2008 when the housing market crashed. and they started quantitative easing then. Before, we had pretty much a fixed money supply that was like increasing steadily over a period of time. But in 2008, that's when those money printers turned on, and that's when we started quantitative tightening and quantitative easing. Well, guess what happens back in 2013 when they did easing? Bull run. But in 17, they didn't do easing, but we had a bull run. They didn't do tightening. All right? Remember that. They didn't do tightening, so they weren't sucking liquidity. What happened in 21? COVID stimulus checks, easing, markets went nuclear. Well, guess what we've been doing and dealing with for like the last about three and a half years? Tightening. We've been tightening nonstop starting in 22, and we are now literally 5 days away, 6 days away from that finally ending. So this chart is going to stop going down, and we should see it basically level out. And then sometime next year, I don't know when, typically 3 to 6 months after quantitative tightening officially comes to an end, we usually start easing. All right. When is that going to be announced? I don't know. And we're going to go into some other things on this channel because we have a long-term thesis with Alpha Syndicate and what we think is actually going on, because there's other factors that people have to understand, like the 18-year real estate cycle is supposed to end next year. So like these things, typically when the Fed prints and does easing, is usually because of a crisis. So it's interesting to see how everything kind of transpires, but we are coming off the back of the largest interest rate hike in history, and it's just been very, very, very restrictive for us. Now, one thing I am watching too, guys, is gold. And gold looks like it is basically putting a set of lower highs, but then something else that we can't fade is it kind of looks like it's making a bull flag. And I would really like to see the gold trade kind of unwind a little bit. And I really don't want to see it make a bull flag and pop out, because it did the same thing right here, guys. And then this is what the result was. I want to see Bitcoin continue making its move up throughout the rest of the day. I don't really see there being a reason why we don't continue moving up unless something drastic happens. And I don't think that will, unless something, crazy comes out of left field. But we should continue getting a move. What this looks like to me, and what could also happen is, don't also underestimate the chances of us maybe coming back down one more time before making that move up and trying to trick people and then flushing out some of this liquidity and some of the people that are taking longs down here. There's also a lot of projects and a lot of tokens that are at really, really low prices right now, guys. And now that we're getting some certainty in the market, and this is really the biggest chart that's really mattered for this recovery, is this. And you can see how this thing literally, when this thing went from 90% and dropped down to 22% chance, and then no change went up to 76, you can literally see how that affected the market. If you go on the daily, look guys, the 28th, and then this made it go down. So with that being said, I do think we should continue moving up throughout the rest of this week. All right, it would make logical sense for us to continue to move up and to try to reclaim some of these levels. Once we get to these levels, I'm going to be watching things closely, because obviously you don't want to just be blind to the risk of us not actually making a new all-time high and then rolling over. All right, and then it's just be a relief rally, because the same thing's going to happen for your alts. They're going to make a run, and then all of a sudden they're going to dump. And you don't want to be holding a bag back down another 30, 60, 70, 80, 90%. If we have to make another leg down, you're going to be better off trying to get out of the market. And I know me personally, this is my personal setup. And what I'll be doing is, if I don't think we're going to make new all-time highs, most of my entries on my projects, I'll give you an example. My average for Ondo is 40 cents. My average for Athena is 22 cents. My average for Curve is like 36 cents. So I bought these things before any of this happened. I've been entering into these projects for a long time, primarily trying to get in prior to the moves on these floors. This is my target zones where I buy. And what I'll do is I'll look at a chart and I'll set a buy box. And I'll say, if Curve comes into my buy box, I buy it. And that's how I do my DCAs. And then if it's not my buy box, I don't buy. And what my job is, when we get major capitulation fear days to accumulate on range lows and sell into that greed at range highs. We've never really had an altcoin season this time around, guys, prior. And I've seen some compelling arguments that we've never even really been in a bull run. We never even had the opportunity because the liquidity. All right. So with that being said, guys, I think we definitely need to take things one day at a time. I'm watching things very closely. Obviously, keep your notifications on. And if anybody is also looking to be able to get real information, real reliable alpha from somebody that's been in this market for a very long time, and somebody that can also help you level up in life, if you're looking for a community of people that are all trying to just, really accomplish their goals and work together, click the link below. We'll see you inside.